the Scholarships and Student Aid Office. I work in Cara Paperni's team. I'm fortunate to work on our team every day. And I want to welcome you today to the webinar on financial support for American students. But first, I would like to take the opportunity to congratulate you on your offer of admission and certainly to thank you for taking the time to attend today's webinar. I want to first acknowledge that McGill University is on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe Nations, a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst nations. Scholarships and Student Aid Office is a proud member of Student Services. We are united in our mission of student wellness, which certainly includes financial wellness. We help students reach their full potential with a focus on large-scale events, group workshops, and one-on-one specialized and confidential services. Now, who pays for the degree? A degree costs money, which can be magnified for students who don't have Quebec residency, and certainly for students who take on debt. But very few will argue that the cost is an excellent investment in terms of better job prospects and future earnings. Our philosophy at McGill, which is fairly pervasive in North America, is that there are 4 pillars of financial support for a student to have the opportunity to pursue a first-time undergraduate degree. The first pillar we see here are parents/guardians. It is expected that parents will contribute to their students' cost of studies relative to their financial capacity. The second pillar we see here is student. It is expected that students will bring money to the table through part-time, summer work, or perhaps what they earn through scholarships or other recognitions with money attached. The third pillar we see here is government assistance. Because McGill voluntarily participates in the U.S. Direct Loan Program, American students can also get government loans to acquire the McGill degree. An American student can get loans regardless of financial capacity, but expected family contribution will establish which proportion of loans have interest subsidized by the U.S. government. And I'll be talking about the U.S. Direct Loan Program a little later on in the presentation. Finally, the last pillar of support. We believe it is McGill's responsibility to also contribute financial resources. Some are based on merit to acknowledge top academic performance, and others are need-based, which means after a student's other resources are exhausted, McGill will give financial aid packages in the forms of bursary and/or loans to help with unmet need. We don't replace expected resources, but rather supplement them. In the next few slides, I will talk about the opportunities and services of the Scholarships and Student Aid Office to help make these pillars as strong as possible for the student. And on this slide here, we can see the different services and opportunities our office offers. As you can see here in this first point, we administer the entrance bursary program for newly admitted students, and I will talk about that a little later on. We have the in-course financial aid program for students who are registered at McGill when do demonstrate financial need and who need some help to finish their degree. We also have the work study program, which gives access to students who demonstrate help them supplement their cost attendance while at McGill. We also help with fee deferrals and offer fee deferrals based on the fact that a student might be waiting for resources or funding to come from the US or another source, and there are delays associated with that sometimes. So to give you more time to pay, we help with fee deferrals. And later on throughout your degree, you might be interested in exchange. We have the mobility bursary for exchanges. And also there are many opportunities of learning outside the classroom, experiential learning opportunities. And our office administers the Enriched Educational Opportunities Bursary Program. It is important to note that as I go through this presentation, the difference between merit-based scholarships and need-based bursaries. Scholarships are based on merit. Bursaries are need-based and purely based on demonstrated financial need. And I've actually had a link put in here to kind of explain the differences between the two. When a student applies for a scholarship, applying for an entrance bursary is a different process, and there's different category of eligibility and assessments. In addition, our office has created a series of videos to help you walk through the different options that might be available to you on the homepage of our newly admitted undergraduate students page. So paying for your undergraduate degree, and we also have a specific video of federal aid for US students. The link is right there below as well. So in addition to the services mentioned here, we also administer the Government Student Financial Assistance Program. So we actually have a team within Student Scholarships and Student Aid to help with U.S. direct loan questions, help you apply to make sure we're compliant with the regulations. And I will go into a bit detail of that later on. And what I want to highlight, as we deliver these services, we are a bilingual service offering advising and workshops on all these financial matters. Now, specifically the need-based entry bursary program. In terms of eligibility criteria, what I want to highlight here, it doesn't matter with regardless of geographic origin. Any first-year newly admitted undergraduate student can apply, and also law and medicine students can apply as well. And you have to be enrolled in a full-time degree program and certainly demonstrate financial need. The application deadline is typically within 30 days of admission. What I want to emphasize right now, if 30 days, there is still time to apply. And if you feel you have demonstrated financial need, I would encourage you to apply. The application closes on June the 30th. But if you've passed the 30 days and you're about that, it doesn't hurt to submit an application, and I'll tell you how to do that in the next couple of slides. To submit an entrance bursary application, there are two components. There's the Minerva application, McGill's Minerva application, and the CSS profile through the College Board website. Once the U.S. student completes both, then the application for the entrance bursary is considered to be complete, and then the assessment will take place at that point. If you're approved for an entrance bursary, you're guaranteed approval into the work-study program. You still have to submit an application as of July 1, but once you submit the application, you'll be automatically approved. Now, into the process of how to apply for the entrance bursary. As I said before, Minerva is the first part of the application. You sign into Minerva, and then you sign for McGill entrance bursary. And then you'll answer the questions there. It's pretty straightforward. Once you've done that, then you go onto the College Board's website and submit a CSS profile and allow McGill to have access to that profile to consider your application to be complete. And what I want to highlight too is because McGill is a foreign school, we don't necessarily process U.S. direct loans the same way U.S. schools do. The CSS profile is required for our entrance bursary assessment and is very separate and distinct from the U.S. direct loan application. The U.S. direct loan application is a separate program you apply for. The entrance bursary is McGill's program, which requires simply the Minerva application and the CSS profile. Because often we might hear questions from U.S. students, oh, I've submitted my FAFSA, but I haven't heard anything. I will go into detail later on what has to be submitted for the U.S. direct loan program. But again, the entrance bursary program is separate from the U.S. direct loan program. In terms of the entrance bursary program decision times, the award started being processed in March. It's typically done on a rolling basis within 2 to 3 weeks of submitting the complete application. But to be very honest with you, as of this Tuesday, we're pretty much up to date with most applications. If you submit an application now, we're very conscious of the May 1 confirmation deadline at McGill. So we will probably have your assessment mostly next week, to be very honest with you. The decisions are posted on the Financial Aid and Awards tab in Minerva, and you will also receive a formal letter by email if you get an entrance bursary. In terms of how it works, the entrance bursary is offered in Canadian currency, and half will be dispersed towards your fall fees and the other half towards your winter fees. And I would encourage you to pay special attention to the letter as it contains important information about the award and how it'll be dispersed throughout the year and what the conditions are to be eligible for it when the disbursement comes around. Now, moving along from the entrance bursary, in terms of the U.S. direct loan versus the U.S. loan program, as we are a Title IV approved institution, we strongly recommend that if you want to help cover costs of attendance with U.S. direct loan, that you submit all the steps. So the U.S. direct loan program has an unsubsidized portion of the loan, subsidized, and has possibility for a Parent Plus loan to the U.S. government. Unsubsidized means that the U.S. government is not covering the interest while you're in school. Subsidized means the interest is covered by the U.S. government while you're in school. And Parent Plus, what we're saying here is, in addition to what a student can borrow in terms of U.S. direct loan, a parent can borrow a Parent Plus loan to cover the additional cost of attendance. In terms of steps, there's the FAFSA, which is the very first step. There's the Master Promissory Note, the MPN, entrance counseling, and finally the Minerva application. Once those 4 steps are done, the U.S. direct loan application is considered to be complete at McGill University. All 4 have to be done in order for us to disperse the loans to the fee account. I just want to highlight here on the bottom right-hand side is our actual email address dedicated to U.S. students who've got questions about U.S. direct loans, us.student@mcgill.ca. And as I said before, the process of applying for U.S. direct loans is different at a foreign school. Specifically at McGill, we have the Minerva component, which is obviously a different step that would occur at other U.S. schools. And here's our website link in terms of the information, how to apply, the different links for the FAFSA, the Master Promissory Note, entrance counseling as well. And as I mentioned, the unique step of the Minerva application will be included in this website as well. Here is a link for the FAFSA, the MPN, and the entrance counseling on the US site, the studentaid.gov site. There's a section there, applying for aid, completing the FAFSA form, which you can see here. And then next, once you've done the FAFSA, the actual MPN, the Master Promissory Note, and entrance counseling can be done through this link on the studentaid.gov website under complete aid process. And then finally, there's the Minerva US direct loan application in the financial aid and awards tab in Minerva. Then it's the applying for US direct loans. Once all those steps are done, then we ensure that half of the US direct loan amount is dispersed to the fall and the other half to the winter, converted to Canadian currency. And if at any time throughout the process you have any questions at all, or you have a little bit of a concern, please do not hesitate to email us.studentaid@mcgill.ca. We will be more than happy to help you. And one thing to consider in addition to US direct loans, there might be some American citizens who have dual citizenship, dual Canadian citizenship. And if that's the case, you might be eligible for other government aid programs as well within Canada, such as Quebec or Ontario, the OSAP program. If you've got questions about that, you can also email us and we'll help you navigate that process as well. Now, once you're here, we've talked about kind of as a newly admitted student what to do. Once you're here, from a scholarships and student aid perspective, the work-study application opens up on July the 1, and you apply in Minerva if you're interested in pursuing that. The fee deferral application opens up mid-July for the fall and mid-December for the winter if you're experiencing delays in funding. And we also have, in the event of an emergency, once you've arrived in Montreal, if something happens and you have a need for a short-term loan, we're also available for that option as well. And in future years, so the first year, let's just say you've been assessed for an entrance bursary. What happens in the second, third, or fourth year? And the second year and the third and fourth year, you'll apply for what's called the in-course financial aid program. So that program consists of loans and or bursaries. A bursary is non-repayable. It's kind of like the equivalent of the term grant in the US. A loan is obviously repayable and interest-free while you're in studies. If down the line you want to pursue an exchange, we have a mobility bursary for exchanges. And again, it's a Minerva application based on financial need. And for experiential learning experience entrance bursary, in-course financial aid programs are distinct from the US direct loan application. The applications are entirely separate. And to apply for in-course financial aid, you can apply anytime throughout the year. Whenever you feel you've demonstrated or you're feeling a financial hardship, you can always submit a Minerva application and then schedule a one-on-one appointment with a financial aid counselor. And the financial aid counselor will meet with you, you'll review the application together, you'll discuss your financial situation, and an assessment will be available and made upon your actual information. In terms of eligibility criteria, to be considered, you have to be full-time or deemed full-time in a degree program, maintain satisfactory academic standing, take your maximum government aid. As I said before, we don't replace existing funding, we supplement it, and obviously demonstrate financial need. So in addition to those services that we offer, those options, we also run a financial wellness program called the Frugal Scholar Money Management Program. It was developed by students for students, and it's to help kind of incorporate good financial habits and financially plan for the future. And this is done through one-on-one counseling sessions through our office and actual workshop as well. And we have webinars that are recorded, and you can see a few of them there, such as budgeting 101, credit and debt management, and certainly let's talk about financial stress. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram accounts, and we often update our information and announce many of our workshops through that. And we also offer handy information to help you plan along the way. So those are kind of platforms that you might want to be interested in joining as well. We are a bilingual service. Right now, throughout the last year or so, we've been offering primarily virtual appointments with some in-person component. University is for an in-person fall semester, and I would imagine we'll be having in-person appointments as per public health guidelines. We are located downtown in the Brown Student Services building. And for students who are out at MAC, we actually have a counselor going out there pretty regularly as well to have in-course financial aid appointments. How to reach us, we have our email addresses here. There's different emails that we have. You've got questions about scholarship. If you've applied for a major and you haven't been assessed yet, you can always email scholarships@mcgill.ca. If you've got a question about the entrance bursary program, the in-course financial aid program, or the U.S. direct loan program, we have the student.aid or us.studentaid@mcgill.ca program. And on the bottom right-hand side here, you'll see our actual homepage address as well, which is right here. So there's different sections on our website, including some success stories as well, testimonials from students who've received financial support from our office and how they've gotten their degree as a result of it, which is, it's great, and it's a great section to read if you have the time. And what I want to highlight too, we are here to help. Any questions you have along the way, feel free to email us, call. We'll do whatever we can to help you. And I just want to highlight too that I'm at the Scholarships and Student Aid booth at Meet McGill following this presentation. So if you have any questions that don't get answered here, feel free to kind of come to the booth and ask any questions there. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to my webinar. And again, reach out if you have any questions. Thanks so much.